to another episode of the Granny Panty Podcast. I'm your host, RubyLynne. I want to do my shameless plug and ask you to subscribe because I definitely want to keep you here and you'll get notified about all the new episodes. I'm super excited about today's guest. Wow. From porn to wrestling to podcasting. I can't wait to just dive in and hear her story and learn more about her. So help me welcome Jasmin St Claire.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited to learn more about you. I was doing a little research. I think we have a friend in common, Lainey.
Yeah,
And
that was so much fun. You guys like totally rocked it. It was so cool.
yes, that was she had emailed and said you need to talk with her about the same time that I popped onto your Twitter. So it all worked out perfect. But tell me a little bit about yourself. Like porn to wrestling to podcasting. Let's just dive in.
Yeah, it's really crazy because podcasting, it's such a thing you never would have imagined years ago, and content creating and all this other stuff. So it's a very wild world. So after porn, I'd actually had two other careers. I worked as a VJ on MTV in Brazil, working with heavy metal bands and other heavy metal, I guess, publications in the States and in Brazil, Europe. And I lived in Europe for a while. Then I
Wow.
returned to acting about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So it's been really crazy. With adult, I obviously got started when I was working at a strip club in Manhattan in the 90s when it was amazing then. It was a way better time. And they had features. So I would always speak to the features and so forth. Um, it was a great way to monetize that
Yeah.
era. Now it's not that type of era now. I don't know what we're looking at because I don't follow the business as much.
Mhm.
I speak to a lot of girls that are in it. Um, then it's just that whole transition into pro wrestling. It was just time to kind of, get out and like
Yeah.
move on. And, so I did. And then, I find myself 25 years later back with pro wrestling again, which is fun. I think it's great. It's kind of like a drug. People always ask, why do you go back to that? Because it's a drug,
Mhm.
to be quite frank with you. And, it's for those of us who don't do the drugs, that is the drug.
Right.
But it's been an incredible journey. I would say the adult industry in that time in the 90s was at its
Mhm.
high point, and it was so much fun. It was so great and so glamorous. And
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of miss the conventions, sort of, but it's not the same now.
I
Way
bet. I
different.
bet.
Yeah.
And so, are you actually wrestling now again? You said you kind of transitioned back, or are you more in the management position?
Management, like as a manager, right? Like a Miss Elizabeth type. Yeah,
Mhm.
obviously. I'll always be used as a manager, and that's fine. I mean, I took classes, I've wrestled a few matches, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I like the management aspect. It's way more fun.
Yeah. And it seems like people who love wrestling, like they love it forever or they're involved in it. I follow a few different creators who do both porn and wrestling or, have some mixture of the two. And definitely like wrestling is a passion for them. So that's exciting. Do you do OnlyFans? I mean, have you been a creator that's transitioned into that? No.
No, I don't consider myself a creator, really. I mean, I get gifted so many different items to use, but I don't use them. And I do use them, but I will not go posting crazy about it unless I think it personally works. Um,
Right.
creator, it's such a loose term. I'm sorry, what was the question?
It was mostly just
Oh,
if you
OnlyFans. No, I
had
don't.
been.
I reserve the domain, but I don't do anything. It's just too time consuming.
Yeah.
And given my background and stuff, people are going to expect a certain, like certain things, which I do not want
Mhm.
to do and I don't feel comfortable doing. It's fine for some people who want to do that. Same thing with Exotica. I don't want to go there. It's like the last place you'd find me. You have girls like flashing their boobs and stuff. And I'd
Right.
much rather people are going to expect me to do that. And I don't want to engage the energy of saying like no and arguing with someone about that,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So I was at one Exotica, but I have friends that go to the other ones and I hear so many things.
Yeah, I personally went to my first Exotica a year ago, and I didn't even know what to expect, but it was like, having only been in this, the adult business for almost 3 years, it was like, okay, I feel like I have to experience Exotica, just like AVN coming in January. Definitely going to AVN, and it's
Yeah.
just because I need to see what have I missed. I need to experience that. So,
It's not the
um,
same, by the way, when you go to AVN in January. It's not
right.
the same as what you see in movies or anything that looks remotely glamorous and fun, which it was. And I mean, the parties were insane.
I bet. So, being a porn star, I mean, I read that you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, AVN Hall of Fame in 2000. So,
Oh yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
And
I guess.
I can imagine the 90s. I mean, I really wish I could rewind. I started in this industry so late at age 53. Um, I would give anything to be able to go back, even to the 70s. I love
Oh.
watching the old porn. I
Yeah,
think
it's a
that's
different era. I miss Times Square the way it was. And I feel like when you start gentrifying neighborhoods that are notorious for one thing, you no longer smell like the urine and the sweat and the grime and all that stuff. And it was a different era then.
yeah.
And I wish that era was back because it made things more diverse since people really like using that term loosely these days.
Mhm. Mhm. Interesting. And so, you mentioned, and I read also about you. Were you writing for a rock magazine? You got into rock, and so tell us a little bit about that because
I
I
didn't
I,
get
I
into
love
it.
rock.
Okay, no, I my first concert was Black Sabbath when I was like 9 years old. So I never got into rock. I grew up listening to it. Um, but it was an amazing time for me. I was writing for magazines, but don't forget I was also hosting different shows, like from
Mhm.
radio shows to TV shows and like interviewing the bands. It was really a dream gig. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, it was. And it was a very fun time for me. I got into that because I was doing this web zine called Metal's Dark Side. It was a DVD zine. Then I was
Okay.
working on this other show, the Metal Scene TV show. Then I started like getting into all these ads for like coffin case guitar cases, which were really the in thing.
Uh-huh.
um, BC Rich Guitars. And I started writing, like transcribing the interviews for a magazine in Brazil. And that's how everything just kind of exploded. Then for Poland and here and there. So it was fun. It was really
That is
great.
cool.
And that's another thing I feel as though uh, it's so over polluted now with glorified groupies that just do it so they could have something cool to do and this and that. And it's
Mhm.
like kind of the same thing when I first heard about podcasts. It fell on deaf ears with me.
Okay.
Um, and because everyone had a podcast, and I still don't like go on everyone's show now because it's at home. Remember Angeline, Billboard Queen in the 90s? The big blonde with the
No,
big boobs. Ooh, that girl. Well, I
I
kind
just
of
had
follow
the babies in the 90s.
Okay, okay. Well, she had the right idea. Like you don't say yes to everything.
Right.
So I just don't say yes to all these podcasts because then you get a lot of people that want to talk about things gratuitously, or it's just some guy just like talking and not knowing what to say next. I mean, am I really having a conversation with you? I just but I know
I
you're
agree.
cool. Plus I looked at your stuff and I listened to you and Lainey. And I know Lainey is one of those people, she just doesn't do everything all the time, you know.
Well, thank you. I am really glad you said yes.
Yeah, it seems like fun. And it's just, I know what it's like also when you get people starting out with podcasts. Um, and, it's kind of hard to get guests. I've been in that situation, but I was very fortunate. So I like to kind of pay it forward to people.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank
Plus, you're a
you.
friend of Lainey's. I don't even know how you guys found each other, but that just,
Well,
it's great.
she's my publicist.
Oh,
So,
is
and I,
she? Okay, good.
yes, and I found her through my social media coach, Romy Chase. So, it's just that,
Romy.
yeah,
Romy.
Romy's an OnlyFans creator, one of the top OnlyFans creators, and
Okay,
she does a
okay.
coaching program, which a year ago I signed on with her. But Yeah, I hope to make this podcast very unique, focusing mostly on mature women, who have some aspect or have had some aspect of the adult creator industry. And it's kind of a passion of mine because having only entered this industry at age 53, I'll be 56 on Christmas. Um, it's
Happy
just,
birthday.
well, thank you. It, it's important for me, it's kind of a passion project. So thank you. I appreciate that. So tell me about what your focus is now. So the wrestling. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah.
You're getting
So
back into it?
yeah, I work with XPW Wrestling, Extreme Pro Wrestling. I started there
Mhm.
sort of, and then I was in ECW, then I went to XPW, then I went back to ECW, then I'm back in XPW. So it's a lot of death matches mostly. It's taken quite a turn. It's the
Mhm.
only extreme company on the market right now. So I'm doing that, and we're on Fight TV. We also have monthly pay-per-views.
Wow.
And let's see, it's been really cool because I get to do a lot of conventions and sign and meet, see my fans. Um,
Yes.
so it's been very productive. And, I'm just still doing acting. I also have a one woman show called A Weird Kind of Fame.
Okay.
It's back in New York like in April, then Chicago in May. I try to do it like once a month or every other month. So I'm focusing on that for next year and my podcast. Um, I just finished a film and then that comes out early next year. Then I'm probably going to Europe at the end of next year to just work on some other film projects or TV projects in some union. And it's been fun so far, And one thing, like I think the most interaction I have with people is on my podcast. It's really weird because outside of there, I don't really. I have my motor. I ride my motorcycles and I just travel. I don't really do much of anything else, and I play with my cat. I
Oh,
learn
that sounds
languages. Like I do things because life's too short. And
yeah.
the pandemic showed that. But I think if I wasn't immature, I don't think I would have. Actually, you say this is for mature women. I hope it's like age wise, not emotionally, because I'm so down there age wise, mature level.
Yeah, no, it's age-wise for sure because I'm 50 going to be 56, but I definitely don't think like a
No,
grandma. I am a grandma, but
the guilt.
um yeah, I'm definitely a gilf and that's kind of my niche actually in the adult world is the MILF gilf. So, um
That's so
awesome. So
funny.
tell us about your podcast more. Like I want to know, who you have on there and yeah, just delve into that a little more because
Sure.
I'm fascinated being a podcaster. I never thought I'd do a podcast either. I'm
I
just like there's a million out there. I'd spend
I
10 hours a day
know.
listening to podcasts.
It's just you gotta there's this one thing I have. It's a saying, it's stay in your lane. And that's kind of what I do with my thing. I just focus on my own thing and just keep going. I don't
Same.
really pay attention to what other people are doing.
Right.
Um, it's called Crazy Train with Jasmin St Claire. A new episode drops every Wednesday. It's crazy with a K. So, like the first few episodes, my ex co host, he just produces it now. He would interview me. So, like the first four episodes, and it would be a lot about my life. And then I started bringing on wrestlers, both current
Mhm.
and retired. Some
Okay.
adult film stars, a lot of classics that we like Brittany Andrews, Lisa Ann,
Yeah.
Mr. Marcus. Um, and a lot of WWE divas, WWE wrestlers, and
Hmm.
some newer girls that are like in the alt erotica business, like Darcy Diamond was just on. And next week I have a female wrestler, Nadia Sapphire. Then I have another girl that just returned. So I really like to mix it up. I've had the guy who made like the largest bong in the world, Jerome Baker,
Oh.
Cheech and Chong. I've had comedians on there, writers. Like I actually like having writers on my show because
Mhm.
they're a lot of fun to talk with. One of them actually like penned 50 books from jail, and he's built an empire. This guy Seth Ferranti. He produced like
Wow.
documentaries. So I really like having a variety of people. You just can't stick to one thing that's interesting, right?
Right.
Then I have a show on Rumble as well. So I talk about mostly hot topics in politics today.
Hmm.
And I have all kinds of guests on there as well. I've had WWE wrestlers. I've had, God, who have I had? I've had like everyone, so many people, even running for office and so forth. So everyone's
That is
going there too.
amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. I love how you do so many different things. I don't even know how you have the time to do it all.
Right? It's just I try to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I had a class earlier. It was just one of my it's the last like 3 months of a Meisner class that I'm in, and I had things to do today. So sometimes I'll just bounce out and I'll just tape everything back to back on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Gotcha.
Sometimes people's schedules are off, so I do it like one day on a weekend, but I just want enough content there so I have time to do
Right.
other things.
Yep.
So like next week I'll schedule 2 to 3 interviews each day, and then there's stuff there for like 3 months.
Right. Right. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Then you crunch at the last minute. Shit, I need guests. Oh my god. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I have enough for like a month's worth. I figured that's a good insurance, you know?
Yes. Always have insurance of like a month. And it's just like I said, it's a matter of booking guests and obviously like taking meetings for myself for other things. And it's a very busy life. So being me is
Yeah.
a full-time job. And I had this boyfriend once who had this grand illusion. Okay, you're gonna love this. Well, why don't you do something normal? You could do something in healthcare. I said, let me tell you, being me is a full-time job. Okay. So don't ever say that. And needless to say, you could only imagine how much longer that lasted. Ugh.
Right. Well, I just came from healthcare. My little 10-second backstory is I was doing social work.
Okay.
And I just quit that full-time corporate job at the end of April to do adult full-time. I was doing both for over 2 years. So
It's
yeah, I don't
tough.
want to go back to healthcare. Yuck.
No, I mean, I worked with IV infusions briefly,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I know a lot of people that want them all the time. And I know like every company under the sun, from LA to London to New York, I've worked as a consultant with those. It just depends on the company. If I like you and I think you're actually going to listen, then you could buy my time. But if not, then you're
There
not
you
going to
go.
listen for to get input on someone that has experience with that. Then don't waste my time or
Right.
your money. It's that simple.
Right.
I run beauty events now and again. So we have this pharmacy in Beverly Hills. We're doing the vampire facials, PRP,
Oh,
microneedling for the face, and also the scalp. If you want, it's $3.99. PRP injections, add-ons. So I arrange those once a month with them. So that's sort of how I keep my own skincare up too, if that makes any sense. So I don't
that's
really have to pay for
interesting.
it.
And so do you are you like an ambassador for them or is it your own company?
No, it's really weird. I don't know what it is. That pharmacy, I sent them a really good mobile IV infusion nurse, and I've sent them a lot of customers that I know that want things.
Mhm.
So I've always gotten taken care of there really well with NAD injections, with anything I want. Then I said,
Cool.
since you're going to do facials in the back, why don't we do like a monthly thing? And I gave them a really amazing RN, or an NP, nurse practitioner, who does them. And she's great. Even though it's a cheap price, I always like ask, I kind of tell people, do you want to tip her on the way out? I think I'm one of the few people that tips her, but it's a cheap price because everywhere else they're so expensive and you don't get the same type of
Yes, they
service
are.
as you do there.
They
So
are.
I'm
I know
sticking around in
as
town. Hmm?
my med spa that I go to, they do Botox parties. So I was
Right.
thinking it's probably about the same kind of um,
Sort of.
business model.
What
Yeah.
state are you in?
I'm in Oregon. How about you?
I'm in LA right now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was going to say, yeah, if you're in LA, come by next week. So I'm setting up something like this with someone in New York City as well, and in
Cool.
Paris. So it's not really anything. It's just me taking care of everyone else out there, but in kind of benefits me in a way because
Right.
I don't really have to pay for the services.
I am going to be in LA
Like,
next week, actually, but
what
I don't
day?
think I'm going to be there Wednesday through Friday, but I'm so
Oh,
booked. I have a bunch of
mm.
appearances to do.
Let me know
But
the next time. You could always go in there for a
yes,
B12 shot or NAD, and I will make sure you get set up with my price.
sounds good. I love that. I love that. Um, so you mentioned riding your motorcycles.
Yeah.
I feel like you and I have a lot in common, actually. I'm not a wrestler, have I ever really followed wrestling. However, I
Yeah,
raced motorcycles when I was a little girl.
I could tell. Were you doing flat tracks or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
with
go
my
to flat
dad.
track all the time in Paris. I like the hooligan races. I used to write for a motorcycle magazine, but I have a Vulcan 650.
Wow.
It's a cruiser style Vulcan. It's matte black. And then I have a Ninja 400 ABS. It's a red one, candy apple red, and I keep that one in Europe. Um, but then the Ninja, I mean the Vulcan I keep in LA.
Okay.
And occasionally, because I write for a magazine or was writing for one, I'm able to borrow a Ninja 400 ABS now and again. But to have it shipped from LA to Paris was
Oh,
so much money. It was crazy. But that bike is it's registered there and it stays there for when I go
that
there.
is so cool.
Yeah, it's
Um,
important.
did you ever race or anything when you were younger, or just
Yep.
ride for pleasure?
Nope. I did both. And then I also recently, actually, I'm planning in in March to go to the tracks here to spend a day at the track. I'm friends
Wow.
with a lot of the pro racers,
Hmm.
and they're cute, by the way. So they are. I wanted to work as an umbrella girl, years ago, but it just didn't happen. And I think that's great. All the GP girls, all the
Hmm.
umbrella girls, and clearly they feel comfortable doing that. So it's just
Hmm.
when you have this narrative of people who aren't working in that business saying, "Oh, well, they shouldn't be doing that. It's sexualizing them." Well, that's what it is, and
Hmm.
that really it's kind of ruined the industry in that respect. Um, when you have tourists, I call them, or civilians putting in their 2 cents. But
Right.
I
Right.
love going to flat tracks. Shayna Texler is my favorite rider. Then there's this really hot British guy who's super tall and blonde. I forgot his name, but he's really cute. When I took a photo with him, I mean, he stood up pretty fast to take the photo, and he was so tall and cute. Totally my type. But I think he's too old. He's probably 35, so he's way too old.
Way too old for
I
you.
told a 38-year-old he's too old. Come on. I mean, hey, we have to have standards. And, upkeeping yourself in this day and age could be expensive, but more and more things are coming out. And this is what I say
Hmm.
to guys, they have things for you too, and you just have to do it because we're doing it. And if you don't want
That's
to,
right.
then you can't tell people what to do. Case closed.
Right. Right. That's right. Interesting. I love that. Have you done any photo shoots with your bikes and stuff like that for magazines, biker magazines?
Yeah, when I was 16.
16.
No,
You need to do
seriously,
them
I did.
now.
Now, no, I have photos with the bike and Sports
Yeah.
Bike Inc. Sports Bike INC magazine.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do one with the red bike. So I'll probably
Okay.
shoot something early in January with my friend Slava. Slava is an amazing photographer. So I think he's probably the only one that could ever get me to take my top off. He's the only photographer out there. I'm not going to do that
That
though,
is,
but he's the only person if there is one person.
if there is one that could convince you.
Yeah,
That's
he's the only person.
awesome.
For some reason, it'll just come up like, hey, blah, 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 blah. Plus, he doesn't try to fuck his models. Oops. He doesn't try to sleep with his models either. So it's perfect.
That is good.
Right?
I bet you've gotten that a lot over your lifetime.
Yeah. And then I usually tell them, remember Lorena Bobbitt? So
Yes.
when they think about Lorena Bobbitt, it's like, yeah, never mind.
I love your spunk and your sass
Thank
and
you.
um, the confidence. I just think it's amazing.
I try. Most guys get scared. I was watching that Netflix series, Killer Sally. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I don't ever have time to watch TV, I feel.
You got to watch it. So, like in the second or third episode, I was sitting there with a guy, and you see this one part where they're showing our some of our favorite girls of the 90s. You see Tanya
Yeah.
Harding, you see Lorena Bobbitt. I got all excited. I'm like, yes, the girls are on. Oh my God, they're here. He just looked at me like, that's Lorena Bobbitt. I said, yeah, I know. The girls are out. This is amazing. It's like girls' night out. You see Amy Fisher, who I'm not a fan of, but just Lorena and Tanya. They're my all-time favorite girls. So
That is
yeah,
cool.
needless to say, he didn't call me after that, but it's okay.
Tanya lives down the road from one of my adult children, so
Oh my God. That's right. She's in Oregon. I want an autograph.
she lives in
I want to
Washington.
meet
Yeah.
Tanya Harding. I got to
Yeah.
meet her.
I have a funny little story about her. I
Yeah.
was pregnant with my oldest son in 1994, actually. And I used to take these maternity water aerobics in the basement of a hospital, and it was attached to a physical therapy. And right
Uh-huh.
when the whole thing exploded for her, she was in there getting physical therapy. I never met her, but it's a funny story, right when her whole career crashed. But yeah,
It's
so it's just a
crazy.
small world.
It's really weird because, like, I know people have had all these torn ACLs and they weren't ice skating the next day like Nancy Kerrigan. I mean, what a little wuss she was. Seriously, I'm not glad someone got hurt, but I never liked her. I liked Tanya way
Yeah,
better.
I did too. She brought herself up by the bootstraps, that's for sure. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Um, so some questions I like to ask my guest
Yeah.
is, we talked about skincare and maturing. And so how do you stay in shape? I mean, I know you have your skincare regimen, which you force yourself to do, but how about exercise, staying in shape?
It's a few things, and I'm glad you brought this up because I just had my first hormone pellet therapy,
Okay.
which I'm a firm believer in them. And Biote, it was a company.
Yep.
It hurt. I just took the bandage off yesterday. It should have come off 2 days before that. But I felt like a total difference in my energy overnight. Like I do work out. I go to Pilates 1 or 2 times a week.
Okay.
I'll go to the gym 4 times. I eat right. I have a lot of celery juice. And it's basically the diet and the water, the hydration. I like to go to the gym. And I think that mostly when you're past like 50, I believe that it's really with the hormones. And this is what really irates me. You have someone like Naomi Watts going out there pushing her line of menopause treatment. Like, who are you to say anything to anyone? It's
Mhm.
not one size fits all.
No.
So then again, it's your thyroid panel, then it's this and that. So I've been living off of compounded creams until I got my
Okay.
pellet. I feel amazing. I have more energy now to have longer workouts. I take BC double A apple flavored in my water to help like
Mhm.
flush out water retention, and also for electrolytes and to
Mhm.
rebuild the muscle strength. I do a lot of pre workout by C4. Then at night, I take a progesterone pill. Let me tell
Okay.
you, liquid melatonin knocks me out, so I can't do that anymore. But I like amino acids because it really helps burn the fat. And I'm not ashamed of my age. I'm not ashamed to say what I take
Mhm.
because I feel like there's so much misinformation out there. And
Yep.
especially when you have celebrities pushing some stupid product called Stripes, which I did buy, by the way, it did nothing for me. But this is what's boosted my energy back up to go to the gym. So every 3 to 4 months, I have to like shell out $450, but it's really worth it.
Yeah.
Um, I hate needles, by the way, but she just lidocained me up. Then within seconds, it's like, okay. I don't even know what the scar looks like. I don't think there's a scar. I have to look in the mirror later tonight.
Work yourself up to look. Yeah.
I
I
know. I
haven't
worked
done that
myself up
yet.
to pull the bandage off. I'm like, ah, I started freaking out.
Yeah, I haven't done really the hormone replacement yet.
Mhm.
But I'm headed that way. I'm
Yeah.
headed that way. And it just is what it is. And why would we not do something that would make us feel better, have more energy, that kind of thing? How do you stay horny? That's what I want to know.
You just answered it a second ago with the replacement therapy.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to
Testosterone.
make sure.
Testosterone, and also something from my doctor. It's this prescription, and she's in Beverly Hills. She's amazing. I love her. She's a
Mhm.
goddess. It's this cream. It's estradiol with mucilax. That and the testosterone uh, do it for me. And of course, not looking at guys naked that are my age,
There you go.
unless they're hot and they're in shape.
So yeah, another question I always like to,
Yeah.
what is your kind of guy? What floats your boat?
The truthful one, if he's age appropriate, which is 30, like closer to my age, someone that has a career. If you have
Mhm.
a job, that's fine, but I want you to have a purpose in life with a big picture because you can't be with someone like me or yourself for that matter. Look at you. I mean, and all the stuff you do, it does not work that way.
Yeah.
Someone that has ambition and going there and is there, preferably someone that doesn't have young kids. We don't do that because I'm not here to. I like someone who has a passport because I like to travel, can ride
Mhm.
motorcycles, um, and also someone funny and doesn't really care about anything with my past or what his family
Right.
says, someone with some balls to stand up to me. Because when I go
Mhm.
after you, I will go after you and I will rip you apart surgically with my with my words. Someone who supports everything I do. And oh God, if you snore, I will put a pillow on your face. So I don't like snore. Laura Desiree, she's like, yeah, I can't stand snoring. It's like a boisterous celebration of your sleep. And she's right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If you're not going to roll on your belly or do something, we will
Mhm.
never get along. Light snoring is one thing. And, I like tall blonde guys. I like big white guys. I like just tall blonde guys. I don't like fat guys. I like guys that are in shape. But that's usually the type I go for. Now and again, I've like dabbled with Guidos, but it's not, yo, how you doing? So it's not um the Guidos. Hey, one of them tweeted at me yesterday. You should look at him. He's kind of cute, and he was tweeting at me from New Jersey.
Oh.
He looked good. I don't know how
Oh.
old he was, but he had a ton of. He's like a silver fox, but he looked cute.
Oh. I like the silver fox. I'm kind of like on one end or the other. I want the silver
Yeah.
fox, or I want, the younger
Yes,
30ish.
I told the 38-year old he's too old. I told the 29-year old. They laugh all the time because it is funny. Now you say that to a woman as a guy, they'll get mad unless they're cool.
Right. That's true. That's true. Um, and so what, given what you know now, your life, all these experiences you've had, what is one piece of advice you would give your 20-year-old self if you had it to do over again?
Don't marry the guitarist.
Is that what you did?
Oh yeah, it was like a whole 8 months. What a loser. I think he was an alcoholic and he just didn't know it and didn't do anything. So he didn't work. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's like, could you just go back home to your parents' basement and go be a troll in Seattle somewhere? So he did. In
Oh, that's
Snohomish, Washington, of all places. So he
I
went back
know
to
that
live
area. I grew up
yeah,
around the Seattle area, so
it's gorgeous there, but they're so like his mom was the worst with her freaking Violet Beauregard hairdo from the Charlie in the Chocolate Factory movie with Johnny Depp. It was this short white bob. I remember telling her, "Look, you freaking like Washington wife or whatever the heck. Just go into your basement and go bake pies or something. Don't go googling me, bitch." Violet Beauregard, yes.
oh,
Well, that's
I
the only
just
thing
love
I'd
your
say.
spunk. I think I've laughed more during this podcast than any of my prior ones. I
Ooh,
just love
thank you.
to tell it like
It's
it
fun.
is. That's how I am as well.
What's your sign?
Um, I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a Scorpio. That's right. You're on Christmas. Yeah, I mean,
Stubborn
you have
goat
to laugh.
here.
You gotta laugh. If you're not laughing, then you're not living. And if you can't laugh at yourself, you've got absolutely nothing. Period.
Yeah.
Case closed.
I, I talk to myself a lot too because it's the only way I get the right answer. So,
If that's what it is, if that's what it takes, you have to do what it takes. And if that's what it que sera, sera. So yeah.
well, as we close out on this chat and interview, I always like to ask my guest to give us one granny panty tip for this week. So, if you had a tip for any, um, it can be beauty, skincare, it can be anything. What's one tip that you'd like to give us?
Don't wear underwear? No. Let's see. I thought you were going to ask what color underwear I was wearing. I was just going to say none. Um, well, who needs those? Uh, so let's see. Always invest in your skin. It's not a waste of money. And be
Hmm.
careful what you're putting on your body more than
Yeah,
anything else these days. And last, I know these are 3 tips, but just think for yourself. Think for yourself no matter where you are in life, and whatever you feel is the best way to do something, you do it. Don't listen to other people around you, friends, because half the time when you have female friends, they're not always looking out for your best interests. You think they are,
right,
but they don't want to see
right,
you in a successful relationship. They don't want to see you in a successful anything, but they're somehow still your friends. And that's the truth about
right,
human beings.
right. That is a good one. Yeah, I someone told me once, don't take advice from broke people. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Um, So where can we find you? Where is the best place for our viewers to find you and support you and see what you have going on?
At the Tiffany store. Now,
Meet me over on Rodeo.
yeah, exactly. So Jasmine, it's twitter.com, Jasmin St Claire, Jasmin
Okay.
Stclaire, and Instagram.com/ the real Jasmin St Claire,
Okay.
and Crazy Train with Jasmin St Claire. That's crazy with a K. On YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everywhere.
Cool. And I'll link those too when this goes live so that they can just click and find you.
Yeah, in my Shopify store. Yeah, and that's it. I don't know how to do websites, but I kind of set something up. I don't know how it looks. I don't want to know what it looks like, but people were buying stuff from there. I think it's all over the place, but it's me. What do you expect? It's like
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me. I feel very honored that you took the time, and I have enjoyed getting to know you. And I just love all the aspects of Jasmine. You have so much to offer. And so I appreciate you being here.
well, thanks for having me, and message me if you're in LA next week. If you have time, it'll be great to meet you in person. So,
That would be awesome.
yeah.
Thanks again and have an amazing holiday.
You too. Thank you. Take care.